Welcome to Getting Mentioned by AI, the podcast where we explore how the future of search is being rewritten right before our eyes. By 2028, AI search is expected to overtake traditional search, and that is not a distant forecast, it is a definite wake up call. My name is Mike, and together with my close friend Ed, we're getting started on our own Getting Mentioned by AI journey, and so we're documenting everything as we go. And in this first episode, we're kicking things off with the big why now and diving into the radical shifts that are happening really, really fast, reshaping how people and businesses get found.
Google was the gatekeeper of search. There's no real other competitor, not even Apple ever. There were a lot of rumors, but Apple not even dove into this search world. Um, Everyone went to Google, and it became even a verb like, oh, I Google it. So today I want to talk about how to win in the age of AI search. um, where the first basic thing I realized is like the search becomes humanized, right? Like before, it was all about keywords, like best shoes in 2025, like flight ticket Paris, all that stuff, and people optimized. SEO managers and developers optimized for either keywords or long tail, short tail, and did stuff around that. But now, with the humanization through AI, it goes to a conversational prompt, right? Like with follow ups. And it's not just best shoe 2025, it's about, for example, what are the best running shoes for someone with flat feet and budget under $100?
Yeah.
Very specific. So then it runs things, it gives an answer, sometimes even with photos, sometimes it might even give links to places to buy. But if it does, you can ask a follow up question, like how we have this conversation, right? Like you can say, hey, great, thank you. Give me now stores where I can buy shoe XYZ that you mentioned and check if they have it in my size, like US size 10. And the things and gives you an answer again. And then you can even say, hey, check if there's a discount code for this online Shopify store where I can buy that shoe. So it's way more going about like you ask a salesperson about a shoe in a store. It's not like, oh, they optimize for keywords. So that is a dramatic shift, right? Like instead of going through the whole list of Google before clicking on links, and you have to figure it out, you can really ask like a normal person. So that is totally different. Um, that also brings that before it was all about ranking. Now it's becoming about being mentioned. Before it was about indirect answers, right? You search, the search gives you a list of website suggestions where the answer might be, and as a company or like to win your audience is to rank on page number one
Yeah.
of Google, right? It's all about ranking. You do that by keywords even, and then you have black hat and you can hustle and all the stuff. It's all about being. It's not about the truth of really having the real answer. It's all about, hey, I need to be mentioned on page one. And if you go to SEO managers, they just charge you the hell out of it. And the promise is, I will bring your website in the top 10 of Google or in the top ranking. And even Google ads were about like all above the fold and all that stuff. Now it's about, with AI search, it's about direct answers. So to, for you to be successful, that means that your content that you created, your external website, your Reddit blog, your Shopify store, whatever, is being cited or mentioned in the answer that AI generates. So, like what we talked about before, it's like now you want, remember in the previous slide where there was an answer, you want to be that answer. And
Yeah.
it's not about, oh, there are 20 pages and I want to become on page number one. No, I want to be that answer now. The downside from an old mindset traffic perspective is also, if I am that answer and people are satisfied with that answer, they will not click anymore to my website or anywhere. So I lose traffic. And this is what you will see as well, right? Like in the SEO world, where people talking about the last 6 to 9 months, like there's a dramatic loss of traffic. Like people went from like 30 to 60% loss of traffic because, yeah, why should I click anymore? I have the answer already. That also brings that the traditional sales funnel became shorter.
Yeah.
It's the end of clickbait because now there's a direct answer and you like the answer or not. And if you don't like the answer, or if the answer is not clear, you ask another question. You don't go, oh, let me search through 20 through link number two. So before it was the user goes to Google, puts in something in the search bar that gives a list of answers, list of links that drives you to you get traffic. It's either paid or organic, but the person goes from a Google system to your website where you can track the visitors through cookies like Google Analytics and stuff. Then you can make a conversion, and if people lose or don't buy or leave your page, you can retarget them because you know who your audience is, you know who that person is, you know the interest, the audience, the demographic, all the stuff through Google, and you can retarget and say and get this person back. With user as a search in LLM, where people go to either Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, or ChatGPT, when there's, like what I said, when there's an answer, the click out to a website or to your personal space is become optional.
Mhm.
It's not a guarantee anymore. That also means if that people if that start that if that answer is satisfying, the funnel stops. There's no click out. You don't know. We will go to a world where you might have helped like millions of people with an answer, but you will never ever know
Yeah.
because people will not click out.
The audience doesn't reach you in that sense.
Yeah. So also there's no chasing of algorithms anymore. Before it was algorithm based. Now it goes to meaning, trust, and structure. Like structure is the technical thing, how you structure your content so that an AI would understand the text. Meaning and trust, it's all about, hey, are you the most truthful, or the most, are people acknowledging that your answer or your piece of content is valuable and real. So it goes from rigging the system, that like the black hat world where it's all about meta tags, backlinks, keyword stuffing, clickbait, uh, like putting, like if you have an article, let's say about um, coffee or something, you put a million like keywords in there: coffee, coffee beans, coffee filter, coffee machine,
Yeah.
maybe even brands that sell coffee, and you end up with like a ranking for maybe thousands of words. Now it goes to scientific truth that wins. And I remember when I studied in university, I had to write my thesis and stuff. It's all about footnotes, right? Like if you go to books with there is like more scientific or books, or like history books or stuff. It's all about the footnotes, um, because the footnotes is where you basically tell that where you got your information from. Um, And if that information is from a certain source, so a person can check if that source is truthful or worthy or not biased or whatever. So if you give that stuff, I can say, hey, this is word or not, this is true or not. So that's basically how AI is also going uh, to decide if your content is true or biased or not. Like it goes so, and then it focuses now on semantic structure, like FAQs, bulleted list, clear headings. Like if you have technically you should have an FAQ or a summary on every single article, because that is easily to digest for the AI. So, and then we talked about the credibility, right? So the sources, the authoritativeness. Like when I saw recently an infographic where it says like the most cited source in AI currently is sources from Wikipedia. And yeah, it makes sense because Wikipedia is a decentralized truth system, right?
Hmm.
Like people
Yeah.
make write something, other people can edit it, people can say, hey, this is not true, I update it, and it becomes like public knowledge that is not made by a person, but is has gets its authoritativeness by other people saying, yes, this is true. So that's where we go, decentralized truth. Google isn't the gatekeeper anymore. Before, you primarily optimize for Google. Now you have to also optimize not just for Google, but you optimize for interaction across chatbots, voice assistants, AI platforms, different formats, text, voice, image. Um, it goes way deeper, and it's just not Google is not the only player here anymore. It's like what I said, like it's ChatGPT, it's Gemini, Perplexity, it's Claude, it's like all the stuff, systems that will come up. Every person can technically create their own LLM, right, and start to indexing and
Yeah.
start to create. um, so if we don't have keywords anymore, right, then we have to have something else. And there's where it comes. We have to think in concepts. We go from targeting many long tail keywords, building pages around each keyword. Like we had this we talked about it in the Netherlands. You had a page like Klimaatsystem, like something like that, and basically they created a page for every city or uh, every country to talk about the weather. Right? It's the
Yeah.
same
I remember
page
that.
everything, but that is how they optimized and became the only to go to, because they were on every keyword. Now it's about concepts. So you build around entities, you build around people, places, things, and concepts. So instead of ranking for Paris Travel 2025, you structure your content on why Paris is the best travel destination in 2025. And going back to the previous slide, it's about FAQs, bulleted list, clear headings. So by giving truth about the best hotels, like what we happened already before in Instagram, right? Those lists, like the top 10 hotels in this, and that becomes more easily digestible by the AIs. Then I would say that it will be the end of fake it until you make it, because are you trustworthy enough for the LLM to show you? Before it was all about backlinks, domain authority, and hacking your way to the top. Now it becomes about your digital footprint matters. It's about structured data, schema markup, the credentials of the author. It's about how many times is the content updated. Before it was you could be stale and it's okay. Now you have to constantly update it. It's multi-format presence. It's just not just only text. It's the signals of expertise and reliability and community and what other people say about it. So if you put out false information, basically, it's easier to detect. Um, it's also the end of evergreen. Um, it's it was about write once, publish and forget. Now it's an ongoing conversation. And I think that is a perfect example what we in our discovery or our journey that we are starting today, right? It's not about, hey, the top 10 that things that changes. Um, and the list I present today, that might be a totally different list if we revisit that in 6 months. So it's about nowadays, it's about an ongoing conversation. It's about continuously monitoring of AI behavior. It's adapting to how LLMs interpreted queries. It's about prompt engineer awareness. It's about being ready for follow up questions and ensuring your content supports a dynamic conversation. And the last thing we talked about is analytics. This is the big thing for marketers, right? Digital marketers
Yeah.
live and die by analytics. You have the content creator that puts out the content, but it's a marketer that's needs analytics to tell things about audience and optimization, the search SEO optimization and all this stuff. So before Google Analytics was king, it's organic traffic, it's bounce rate, keyword ranking, audience profiling. And we know over the last couple of years with the question and the debate about privacy, right? Like things changed. We know in 2000, I think it was like coupled with iOS 14, where Apple introduced the blocking of the Facebook pixel and all the stuff, that they lost imagine traffic. And even with pixel blocking in emails, it becomes harder for the analytics. But now the big question would be, is there analytics uh, for AI? Because a user, like what we said, a user might just read the answer without visiting your site, and you will never know your audience.
If I can jump in for 1 second, I
Yeah,
remember with social media, there was something that they would call dark social. It's the
yeah,
idea that you post something on Facebook and it gets a certain reach, a certain audience. And then it's like, yeah, but if the post gets shared and if it gets dropped into a WhatsApp group, right, your post or your content reaches so many more people, but it's in the darkness, right? The dark
yeah.
social. So who knows? Maybe we will see
So we
some.
also, I think, and there we come, we have to think different a bit about analytics
Yeah,
in there. So let me, to finalize, I would say
yeah,
LLMs will make or break you basically. If you don't change your mindset on how to approach the world and giving answers to your audience, you will be over. Because with LLMs showing answers directly, there's no reason for people to follow you or visit you anymore. It's how
yeah.
basically Netflix killed Blockbuster. People want instant answers instead of searching through websites provided by Google. LLMs are smarter than traditional search engines that run on algorithms and can be rigged by bad players. You become an invisible presence now inside LLMs. Search has been decentralized. So, what can you do to make this very practical? And I foresee things that might people need to think about, especially in the world of digital marketing and footprints and audience and stuff, right? So, what can you do to build loyalty with your audience? It's having an ongoing conversation. It's about getting your audience on your community platform. You need, where we always said before, the problem with social media, don't build a platform built on someone else's platform. And the
Yeah.
same principle is here. So don't build your presence on a Facebook group, because if Facebook kills your account, it's over. So here again, don't you need it's more important than ever to have a community platform where you have direct access to your users, because you won't have access to users on ChatGPT. Also, you need a place, basically, because the default for people would shift from I search on Google, that would be now I search on, for example, a ChatGPT. The default you need to make for the people is like, oh, instead of going to ChatGPT, I go to the community to ask in the community about my question. That is a thing that I would see a shift would go. Then the second part would be become the expert Google on your topic. So either you get constantly mentioned in an LLM, or people go straight to you. That's why personal brands become even more important. Because if you have a question about a certain topic, you go you want to be you can put all your information out there and then constantly be mentioned in LLM. So that is brand awareness, basically. But also now people know, hey, if I want to know anything about AI and LLM SEO, I go to these guys that have this podcast and they have a community platform, so I ask it with them instead of going to an LLM itself. And then keep in touch with your audience and know what they go through. Like life is dynamic, so is your audience. Like you have to innovate. You have to. It's the journey will never stop. Your audience will have always questions about your topic, so always be relevant. And then constantly innovate and review your digital footprint, because your digital footprint is the thing that feeds the AI. What works today will change in 6 months. Be authentic. And then I think the other thing, if you talk about ethical AI and stuff, um, I think, and there are stuff going on already with, I think, YouTube and stuff that can detect deep fakes and all stuff, right? So be authentic and AI. And I think the big thing that will come in is blockchain technology, right? Like that world where, because on the blockchain that cannot be altered, there the truth lies. And if your source is not locked there or whatever, you will not get this trust. And no trust doesn't mean will means that you will not be mentioned. Like the clickbaits, that will be over, because a clickbait would be easily figured out by the system. Um, so yeah, I think that is like, it's already a lot of things. I see it as like there's a reset. But on the other hand, it's also like a logical evolvement of search. Like it becomes like what I said in the first slide, it becomes more human.
But do you also think that it becomes more of a level playing field? Because it almost feels like we are at the beginning of like a big reset on how the world looks at, yeah, let's call it search for lack of better reason. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That this is the opportunity that just because you are dominating Google and you with your platform, it's almost impossible for you to get a slice of the cake because of your competitors being around for 20 years, they dominate all these things. That now with the shift of going from the Googles of this world towards this AI LLM kind of citation world, that it becomes, yeah, the rules of the game are changing. Therefore, people that didn't really have the opportunity before now have the opportunity to play along with everybody else, right?
Yeah, I think that's true. And we have to figure out, we will have to see how the big players are going to do, right? Because in the end, there will be for sure a version of ad system in that world. Like sooner or later, ads will be introduced into these systems because that the ad systems generate money. And the ChatGPTs, the Claudes, the Perplexity, it's all run by for-profit companies, right? So a whole different topic and a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
was thinking we can make a document where we can put in like topics for the future, because I
yeah,
think that that is a really good, like, for almost like a psychic, like forecasting what is about to come as well. Huh?
yeah, because the players, you will always have bad players that are going to
Yeah.
try to rig the system, hack the system, um, and the ethical question is very big, right? Like, hey, and you see that especially on the politics topic, right? Like, how much is an AI LLM, either OpenAI or Claude or whoever, like uh, the big players are basically the ones that pay for the current systems, right? Like OpenAI is it's for profit, but the big player is Microsoft, right? I think it was Claude is mainly sponsored by Amazon, right? Like, um, and behind these big players are names. Like, if you're talking about like how are they going to? There is a way if you flood the world with um, fake news, basically, or very biased, like Democrat in, like, if you take US, like very left-wing Democrat or right-wing Republican information, if you flood it with enough information, you can steer the answers on a system,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
a system can become racist in a certain
if I
way as
can, yeah,
long.
if I can jump in on that, right? It's like I'm currently doing a lot of AI trainings, etc., and also giving a lot of AI trainings, right? And even in our foundational trainings, it's all about the awareness, right? Like AI is based on data, patterns, and statistics. And because of that, there will always be bias in there. But people need to have the awareness also that the data on which things are trained on, if it is biased by default or it has a lot of bias, what you put into AI is what you're going to get out of AI,
Yeah.
right? And that's the opportunity. But let's not digress. We also
But
have
yeah,
to be sensitive of
to
time.
say as yeah, to say as last on the topic, the old way was also biased because Google decides what it shows you in the ranking. So
Yeah,
if they don't like your website for whatever reason, like, what, even on LinkedIn and stuff, you can get shadow banned. And you're there,
yeah.
but no one
Or
wants
you
to.
wake
No
up
one,
on social media and the reach is gone, right? It's like
yeah.
that is
So
ultimately
that's
it
not
is a
the issue.
game. It is a game, and it's about figuring out the rules of the
Yeah,
game. So
yeah,
I will not be sharing my learnings, because as you go through in my head, I'm like, okay, we need to take every single slide that you have and turn it into a separate post for on the blog, because I think
yeah.
this is like ultra, ultra great and amazing. Thank you so much for giving me the little master class. That's what I was thinking. It's like master class on where this is going. But yeah, that really sets the pace. And that's it for today's episode of Getting Mentioned by AI. To be clear, we are just getting started on this journey from absolute zero. There's no playbook, definitely no shortcuts, just real experiments and lessons as they happen. If you want to join us to go on your own Getting Mentioned by AI journey, then head over to gettingmentionedbyai.com. We'll be sharing everything as we learn so that you can get discovered, you can get ahead, and you can get mentioned by AI.